Hello, welcome. I'm Pat Fairless from Fairless Stamp and Flair, and I have a fun, I hope, project for you today. It's a fun fold, and I think most of us love fun folds. This one, I don't exactly remember where I saw it. I actually went back and tried to find the video I found some time ago, and I couldn't find it. Um, not my idea. I saw it like I'm sure you see many things. Um, on YouTube or wherever you watch, right? But it's a corner fun fold with a pop-up feature. So I'm calling it a corner pop-up, and it's pretty cool. It's not hard to make. It kind of looks like it is, but I'm going to get right to it and show you how to do it. So this is the card we're going to make. Here's the corner. Let me show you the back side so you get a little bit better idea. So the card is cut off at this corner, or folded at this corner, I should say. And when you open it, I've seen corner fun folds where you open this and something pops up out here, but this actually pops up in the center. So let me flip that down so you can see that a little bit. Isn't that cool? And I'm going to use the Endless Love suite of products, not all of them. I bought the bundle and the designer series paper and maybe something else, the embossing folder, I think. But we're going to use the designer series paper and the bundle today. And mainly my goal is to show you how to make this fold, and then also how to cut these pieces of paper with this crazy angle on here. And I'm going to give you a couple different alternatives on how to do that. One is better, one works better for me. It's kind of the way my brain works. But the other one might work better for you. There is a tutorial on the blog. If you're watching this from my blog, fairlessstampandflair.com, you can download this free tutorial, and it has the instructions for the front of the card, the inside portion of the card, and then there's also a sheet that shows you some diagrams on how to cut these. So let's start with the diagram. So the first method I'm going to show you, and this is not my favorite one, but you might like it. We actually create a template the size of what this corner is. And I'm going to get this stuff out of my way. Now, the easiest way to do that, if you're somebody who does not like a ruler, then just cut a piece of paper. Any kind of scrap paper or scrap cardstock will work. And you want to cut it 3.5 by 2 3/4. And then just cut off the corner, okay? And because this is the way it works, you want to make sure you cut in this direction. So I'm going to do that, and we'll show you how to use the template. But like I said, I'm also going to show you, grab my trimmer here, I'm also going to show you a way I find easier, and I get a little bit more accurate cuts. And if you've watched me, you know I'm a little anal. Sorry, it's the engineer in me. So just to double check, the angle goes in this direction based on the card. We will grab the card again. You can see the angle goes from right down to left. So when I have my piece of paper for that corner, I want to cut from right to left. And we're just going to line up the corners in the groove on the trimmer and cut. And now we have a little template. And so you can take your card base to create that fold. First thing we're going to do is fold it at, this is a standard A2 card size. This is 8.5 by 5.5. And we're going to score it at our normal 4 1/4. Cut her out of the way. I've done that before, have you? Probably all have, right? If you've made more than 2 cards, you've probably all done it. So I'm going to give that a good burnish with my bone folder and get the edges lined up here. And just give that a good rub on there, good burnish. because now we need to score at this angle. And so here's the little template piece I made, right? 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. And we can lay this on this corner, and you can either take your trimmer, if I can find it, you can either take your trimmer and just use this template to line it up here, okay? And then you can run your score blade across there. Now, that's using the template, if you like to do it that way. I found for me, it's more accurate if I just measure this with a ruler. So I'm going to show you my way, but you get the idea with the template. You can use the template. I found the template kind of wanted to move around a little bit on me. It worked. And if you get it off a little bit, it's not really going to matter for your fold, but where it will matter more is where when you go to cut these designer series papers, if you have this different than your template, if it's squished a little bit or moved around, then these aren't going to fit as well. Now, with my way, it doesn't matter if you get this crooked. So we will show you that way. So for cutting the paper. So I'm just going to get my trimmer out of the way, and I'm going to measure this. And I said 3 1/2. So I'm just going to make a little tick mark over here at 3 1/2. And then this way, we want it to come down 2 3/4. So just come down the side and make a little tick mark there. Now you can either take your trimmer, like I showed with the template, and now you know exactly where the 2 3/4 and 3 1/2 is, and you can run this through here. Okay, so I'm just going to do this and show you what we get, and I'm going to push pretty hard because we got 2 pieces of cardstock, and then I'm going to, this is for those who don't have a Simply Score tool. So get out of the way. So you can see your score line here, and you can a little bit see it here, but it doesn't really want to fold nicely in that area. So if you have a Simply Score tool, I found this worked better for me because I could get more pressure. The trimmer limits how much pressure you can put on the score blade. So now I have a mark here, just any old mark, any place. I just kind of darken it because once you cover this up, then sometimes it's hard to see where the same one is down here. So I just darkened it. So I'm going to put this little tick mark up here in that dark mark and the tick mark down here in the dark mark. And we're going to take our score tool, and now I can use the small end, I recommend, because you can get more pressure. Okay, and it comes through to the back side. I don't know if you can see it. I used white because I figured you could see it better on white, but it just seems to, I got a better score through both layers. Now just kind of take this and carefully bend it in each direction, and now you'll know exactly where it goes. Okay, so now you can really see it. Now what we're going to do is open our card, and we're going to push in on this piece so that it wants to do this, and it wants to do that. So once you push, and now we'll just burnish those 2 edges really well. And I like to do it on both sides, on the inside, single layer, all 4 layers. You want that nice and burnished. And that's all there is to that. Now you have your pop-up corner fold. Easy, right? That part is the easiest part, I think, in my opinion. Now we have to cut this piece of paper for here. So I'm going to use this designer series paper, from the suite. What did I say the suite was called? I can't remember. I've already forgotten. The suite is called Made with Love, and the designer paper is Made with Love. Now, you can do this again 2 ways. You can take your little template that you created and you can lay this in this corner, make sure both edges are aligned, and just cut across there with your template. Again, if this moves a little bit, you might miss it. We pretty much cover up that whole edge, so it's not a terrible deal if you move it. But again, what I like to do now, because let's say I slipped and this isn't exactly 3.5 by 2 3/4. Maybe I slipped a little bit and I went this way or this way. Well, if I take this piece of paper and I lay it on here and I get the bottom gap or border, whatever you want to call it, the left side and the right side, lay those on there where it's all equal. And now take a pencil, and don't tell me I don't have a pencil. There's a pencil. And you know how big a gap you got here, and you can eyeball it and put a little tick mark there and a little tick mark over here. And you don't have to measure anything. You just use this as your guide. That's, oops, I want the trimmer with that. I'm done with that. So now I can just line up those tick marks in my trimmer. Again, in the groove here and in the groove up top. And cut it. That's the way that works best for me. I'll just be honest. So now we're going to use this piece. It's going to go here on the front. And we're going to save this piece for the inside over here. All right. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to cut all of these so you can see how I did that. So I have this cut, and I also need to cut this piece for my mat down here on the inside. So let's just cut them all, because if you watch several, it'll probably be easier to understand what I did. And I'll lay these aside. And again, feel free to use that little template. It works. I liked the other way better. So to cut my mat, and I'm going to change up, I've changed up the designer paper, all from the same suite of products, a collection of paper. But I'm just going to use Flirty Flamingo instead of Poppy Parade. And I did this the same way. So again, if I got my little score fold there a little off, now I just make it to match this, okay? So I did that exactly the same as I did the piece on the front, because they're both going in the same direction. Just double check, make sure I got that there and that there. Okay, so now I have this piece in here. Now to make the white piece, I want a little bit of a border, right? So I'm going to take this Flirty Flamingo and my basic white, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to lay this on here exactly, and I'm going to make this border, this border, this border, and this border as equal as I would normally get it. And you can see my little tick mark shows there. So this might be the Flirty Flamingo might be a little bit off, but I can use the Flirty Flamingo. If it's off, it doesn't matter, because this one will be off the same way, because I use this to align it. So now we cut this one. Line it up here, line it down here, and cut. Okay, now I have my 2 inside pieces for my card base, right? We're making progress. Now I went ahead and I want to show you the diagrams just to explain for the front and for this inside. We use this diagram number 2 because we're cutting this at this angle. For the piece up here on the top, the designer paper on the top, you're going to use diagram number 3, because in this case, we need to cut the bottom right corner, all right? Now, I already have mine cut, just to save a little bit of time, but I think you get the idea of how I did that. I would have laid the full piece on here and just made my tick mark, just like I did the others, and then cut. And this piece, this piece, we use the remaining piece, but you can see that it is smaller, right? So let me show you how we did this piece over here, and you'll understand how I did this one. So put this aside, get so many stuff all over. So my designer series paper for the front is here. And this is the piece that I cut off. Well, you can see it's too big because we want it up here, right? We want a little bit of white gap there. So all I did was I took this. In fact, let's adhere this one first, because that'll just make it a little bit easier, I think, for me to explain it to you. So I got a little bit of pencil mark on here. I'm just going to erase that. There we go. Down here too. I made my tick marks a little darker than I normally would, so hopefully you could see them. But just erase it and then put it back in here, center it on all sides. And see, that's really, actually, I'm very happy with that. That turned out nice and straight along this fold. Sometimes when I used the template, it didn't always. I'd sometimes get a bigger gap up here than down here. So that's why I decided to measure for myself. That worked better. Now, so take this is what I would suggest. Take this, and if you want to line this up with this, lay it in the piece so you have the same gap as you have over here, and then take your pencil and just line it with this and make a little tip mark. And for your information, it's approximately 3/8 of an inch, all right? But we will just, you can just use 3/8 of an inch and it should be fine. But if you cut either of the first two pieces wrong, you might want it a little different. So that's why I like to do it. I don't know, I'm calling it the cheater way, but it's kind of easier for me. So let's go ahead, since I got little pointy pieces on here, I'm going to use some liquid adhesive so I can get the points down. So in my estimation, or my opinion, for what that's worth, making the corner fold on the card base, super simple. Cutting these pieces took me a little bit more figuring how to get my lines even. If you use the template pieces that are left, it will come out. This is approximately 3/8 of an inch. So just cut off the 3/8 of an inch if you like to do it that way, if that works better for you. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start stamping and putting this together. I got a couple more tick marks. I'm going to erase off my edges just because. And let's do the inside first. I don't know why, just because I've got that in front of me. So I just typed Happy Valentine's Day. This is from the Endless Love stamp set. If you haven't seen this, this is a new set, a new suite of products in the Spring Mini, and it's got a lot of nice sentiments, things that will work for even non-Valentine's Day, but it is generally, you know, targeted towards hearts and stuff. But this is a stamp set. So I'm gonna put my grid paper on here. That helps me to know, to be more cognizant of making sure I'm staying in the frame of the camera. So, and plus I use it, we're gonna need it when we start putting the hearts up in the upper corner. And I'll show you the trick there too. So let's just go ahead and get this, and I'm gonna use Poppy Parade. And let's go ahead and just stamp these on here. And I have Happy and Day are on separate stamps. So I will stamp Happy up here above it. Get it straight, Pat. Yeah, close enough. And Day down below. Okay, I like that. So now we can go ahead and put this on our mat and add some hearts. I think this is a fun set. I'm going to be using this one. I've already made quite a few with it. And I also want to remember to show you another card I made using this same fun fold, because I see so many uses, any kind of elements, doesn't have to be hearts, right? Up there on the angle. I did cut some, there is a die, the dies that come with it. Some of them coordinate with the hearts that are stamped. This one coordinates with the stamped hearts, but there's all these other pieces. There's X's and O's and little hearts and a heart collage. And here's kind of a fancy detailed heart that I used for up on the angle. Arrows, there's a banner or a sentiment die. So great dies that come with this set. And I use this little heart die to cut a bunch of these little tiny hearts. And we're just going to scatter them here on the front. I had a bunch of them here. Now, how are we going to do this? I've already got gluey fingers. Where's my take your pick tool? Here it is, behind me. So what I tend to do is, I don't know how you guys do these. We could flip them over. We can put a little dab of glue on the back. And then, now I got to pick up this tiny little thing with glue on it, which is okay because it sticks to my finger, but not always where I want it to. And then we can just randomly put it somewhere. Or what I prefer to do is figure out kind of where I want them, and then just put a little dot of glue on the cardstock. And now I can pick up my heart with my putty end of my take your pick tool and just put it down that way. I need to let them dry. Okay, so down here I'm just going to add a couple. I don't know, somebody told me sometime odd numbers look best. I got way too much glue on that one. The dot's bigger than the heart. And put one of each, Poppy Parade and Flirty Flamingo. Lots of glue on that one. That one's not going anywhere. Let's see if I can get some of it off. So my inside's done. So I'm just going to set it aside and let that dry. And come back and let's go ahead and just add here these other DSP pieces while we're while we're here on the inside. This is a fun part, right? Because this part comes together really quickly. And I liked how the inside was decorated on the top too. I thought that was kind of fun. And it's a great way to use your designer series paper. So I'll get that straight. Probably help me if I put the cards straight. And we're going to put this piece here. This one I've already cut down by the 3/8 of an inch. If you have designer paper that's not all over print and it's kind of directional, instead of taking the 3/8 off this side, you might want to take it off the other side so you can keep it lined up. This one, I don't think anybody's going to know if it's lined up or not lined up, these little tiny hearts. But I do want it lined up there. Okay. So I think my inside, these should be, yeah, they feel like they're going to stay put. And we will add this here. And what did I do with my other heart or triangle? I don't know. You know what I did? I was supposed to use this piece and put this here. Not here, because here's on the inside. So, well, that's fixable. We grab some cardstock. And we will look for that pattern. Here we go. It's this one's the other side, which is what I used on the other card. So here we go. So let me show you once more how we are going to do this piece. So I am going to lay this up here in the corner, and I'm going to line this up with this, and this side I'm going to line up with this. Get that in the corner so they line up. And again, I will take my pencil, and you can see the score lines right here. So I just want it just inside of that on this side, and just inside of it, or I should say, here I want it to the left of the score line, and here I want it just above it. And we will, well, whoever gets this card is going to get a little extra trim. It's okay. Good thing I wasn't down to my last piece of designer paper. Check that back in that groove, this in this groove. And I didn't have to measure anything. I just took a scrap. And there we go. It'll fit. If it didn't, I'd be embarrassed, since I was telling you that was a good way to do it. Okay, now it's the way it belongs. And for this card, I just put a heart on here. I used this heart die cut, and this die cuts this little lined heart. And then what I did was I just glued that delicate piece onto a piece of basic white cardstock, and I cut around. I just used my snips and just followed around and cut it, because there is not a die that is the size exactly of this. That could be an improvement Stampin' Up! The next time. Now we want to lay this in here to make sure when it closes, it stays inside the card, and we don't really want to get it up here. So I'm going to put it right about there, and that will close, if you can see that. So I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive down here along the bottom. And if you want, you can look up here at the top of where you're going to put it, and you can add a little bit right along here. And then we're just going to lay this on here. And before it glues down firmly, just fold to make sure it works. So there we go. And I needed a little bling, so I put a piece of little rhinestone on there. So there we go. So now we get to decorate the front. And I have different designer paper, but I'm going to decorate it the same. I use this X's and O's die. And I took basic white cardstock and adhered it to a piece of foam sheet, and I die cut it. Now, if you've not used foam sheet before, it's sticky on both sides, but it's foam in the middle like a dimensional would be. And you run it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss or die cutting machine using the same sandwich as you would for cutting other cardstock. So then all we have to do is push these out. And we can adhere them to the front. And we'll use those little hearts as well. So I've got two little hearts and an X and an O. And there's already sticky on the back. So all we have to do is stick it down. I'm going to lay this flat. It just kind of makes it a little bit easier. And we also have this die, which makes several little hearts. And I liked this bigger one here, so I die cut that as well. And I'm not sure where the big one went. It's not looking at me. So we're just going to go ahead and we'll use this other one here. And we will stick these down. Now, you could say I cheated, and I didn't realize it till just now. But this paper's got nice stripes on here. So it's going to be nice and easy to line up these X's and O's. So I am just going to put them, I don't know, I guess right about here, and we'll go four little lines up. And the backings come off really easy, and they're already adhered or have adhesive on them. Oh yeah, this is good. All right, there's a hint. Use striped paper on here. Otherwise, just don't try to make them straight, then it won't matter. Okay, and we will put three little hearts up here. I guess that one's already off. And if I find my big one, I can always come back and put my big one on. I don't know where it is. I think the little ones will be, whoever gets this card, they won't know it was supposed to have a big one and two little ones, will they? There. Perfect. Okay. So that part of the card is done. Now we're going to adhere the hearts up here. And I used, for the outer two, I just cut them out of designer series paper, and I used this heart die. And for the center one, I used this heart die, which has this cute little border, but it also can be used as a tag, which is cool. It's got a little loopy at the top. So I went ahead and I did those already, so you didn't have to watch me do all that. I also used these little short arrows, and I cut a couple of those out of that. So I put one here along the bottom. The one thing I did not do that I had on the original card was I used the speckled stamp to stamp some dots down here. I did not do that on that one, honestly. I just forgot. And now that I have all the gems on it, kind of late. So this is what I wanted to show you though. Because as you start to put things on here, what you have to pay attention to, and I'm going to line this side of the card up with this line here in the center and the top with the dark one going this way. And I'm just going to hold it in place because when you start laying these on here, you're going to be tempted to want to put it up here. And if you do that, you're not going to be able to get it in your envelope because it's above the top of the card. So when you adhere your hearts on here, make sure you're using a line across each side so that you stay within that so that you can get it in your envelope. And so let's just go ahead and put that together. This will be quick. So again, make sure this and this are aligned. And as I put this on here, you can twist it, turn it however you want. Just make sure the top of it doesn't go above that line. It's down much further than you would think. So when I first did it, I thought, oh, I want those up nice and high. Well, yeah, maybe, but you can't then get it in your envelope. And you don't want to learn that the hard way. So here you want to make sure it's inside this line. Adhere those down. And the center one I put on dimensionals. But before I do that, let's go ahead and put our snippet of ribbon on there. Now, this is white ribbon with silver trim. It's just a sheer mesh ribbon. And I colored it. This is a good thing to remember. If you don't like spending a lot of money on ribbon, buy white ribbon and then use your Stampin' Blends and you can just color it. So just, and mine's already colored, but I just wanted to show you how to do it. And maybe it'll get darker, maybe it won't. I don't know. Now I would normally let this dry a little bit because when you handle it, it can get inky fingers. And we know how red ink and fingers are. It's hard to get the red ink off the fingers after you're done, right? So I'm just cutting an angle on there so I can get it through this hole a little bit easier. And this is very lightweight sheer ribbon. So I just tied it in a simple knot. You could put a bow, you could do whatever you want. I just wanted to keep it kind of simple. I didn't want to create too much bulk. The card is already, with these 4 layers here, it's a little bulky. And then we will trim it off. Okay, now we can add this one on here. And this one I added with dimensionals just to pop it up, give it a little bit more interest. And again, you want to line your card up with some lines on your grid paper. And now this one can come up higher, but you don't want to exceed these, or you can put it this way, but you don't want to exceed those lines, right? So kind of figure out where that is, and then you can come back and take your dimensionals. Where's my dimensionals? Reaching across the camera, sorry. For sure I can put one down here. And I'm probably good going about that high up. Before I take off the backs, I kind of like to put it in place and look at it, grab it and look at it from the back. And am I seeing a dimensional? I want to make sure I'm not seeing any dimensionals, and I'm not, so that's good. All right, lay it back in your lines, because you'll be surprised how easy it is to just go ahead and put it up here. And it'll be a oops when you go to put it in the envelope, it won't fit. Okay, so there is our card. My second Valentine's Day card, all done, right? I hope you like that. I hope it made sense. These are the same, except I used different paper. Here I used one with tiny little hearts and these bigger hearts. And here I leaned into the Flirty Flamingo a bit more. So I instead of putting my die cut here, making a Flirty Flamingo, I put a Flirty Flamingo on the background and then put white. So mix it up however you like. Here's a Poppy Parade on white. And let me show you an alternative to hearts. I envisioned flowers. So here's the same pop-up fun fold, but instead of hearts, I used a big flower from Celebrate Beauty or Beautifully Celebrated, or I don't know. There's a whole suite. I suppose I should know that. I can show you the catalog now since it is live. And it is this suite here. Lovely and beautiful suite. Here you can see the flower. This is the flower I used. I probably made mine a little bit different, but here are the items in that suite. And here is the paper. So that is what did I say it was called? Lovely and Beautiful Suite. And it's a mega suite, so it comes with 2 bundles. But we're going to make this card in my stamp camp this month, where our theme is sending love. So we can always always good to have a wedding card on hand. Just in case you need one, you don't have to scramble at the last minute to do it. So there's that card. And here are the other 2. Here's my envelope. I just used the same designer paper as I did on the front. So there you go. That's it. Let me flip my camera back and we're going to call it a wrap. Okay. If you have questions, leave questions in the comments, and you can download the tutorial from my website, fearlessstampandflair.com. There's always a tutorial, written tutorial. It's the one I showed you. So then you can watch it with the video. There's a link to the video on the tutorial as well. So if they get separated and you can't find it again, they'll be together if you just download it and have to come back later. So I hope you like that. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Would be great. And I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel. I am trying to do a video once a week. They will typically publish on Wednesdays so that my Thursday post on my website can include the link to the video, because otherwise I can't access the link, just the way the whole streaming stuff works. So have a great day. Thank you for watching. God bless, and we'll see you next week with something else.